There's going to be a bullpen guy that, you didn't expect to make the team. There's going to be a bench player that's going to make the team that you didn't expect. I mean, it seems to happen every year. Kane, you've been able to be in uh, in the clubhouse. You saw it last year with when Skip, literally Skip. It's awesome to say because he's literally the Skip. You've gotten to see a lot of just kind of talk about what you've seen of him and how you feel about him being the manager moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I think for starters, like in just going around and having relationships with people, like in general, I will say I'm a little nerdy. So, and especially when it comes to baseball, I like talking to the nerdy guys who like, I'm going to learn something every time I talk to him. And I think Skip Schumacher is definitely one of those guys. But he, one thing that stood out to me was he's like talking about how we want to be the very best from an organizational standpoint. And he's big on like controlling the things that he can't control. Like obviously you can't control outcomes, but you can control how you can prepare. And he's mentioned that. Something that I thought was so interesting that's applicable to this situation is like when he took over as manager in Miami, they were coming off of a rough year and he was kind of had to diagnose that. And now he's flipping it and doing the same thing here off of a rough year. He's kind of having to diagnose it. He's been going throughout this offseason and meeting with players, just one-on-one, building relationships and starting to figure out, hey, can we diagnose this here? But a guy that had success in Miami, right, was probably kind of thrown out, maybe a little prematurely. He led the team to the playoffs, and then the roster the next year was just not even close to the same. Someone that, wants to win, knows how to win, has done it before. And another important thing, and I'll end on this note, is like someone that's watched the Rangers was in the Rangers organization last year. Like that doesn't happen often. That's pretty valuable to have. So
That's
I was asked earlier in the offseason in a column that I was participating, like, how high are your expectations for Skip Schumacher? I think like pretty high. Like, I really think this is a guy that can come in and have success.
well, and that was going to be my follow up too, because he had a year to sit and watch Bruce Bochy manage. And now, obviously, injuries and I mean, just all kinds of factors came into play why the Rangers did not go as far as they were expected to last year. However, he's had a chance to sit and watch a Hall of Fame manager for a year work after getting his own experience in Miami, and now he gets a chance to run a legit threat to at least make the playoffs. Um, so I was just kind of wanting to get that vibe. Like, what's the clubhouse vibe? What's the vibe in the front office of people you've talked to? So thank you for elaborating on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the vibe is like intentionality, right? Like we're gonna go in, we're gonna be intentional about preparing, and we're gonna be intentional about the way that we play, and that's really that benefits. I think that's huge. Something that's kind of funny to your point is I don't know, I haven't mentioned this in the last episode, but I'll mention this story here because you just reminded me of it. And when I was talking to Skip Schumacher, he was telling me about how like he came in here last year and he was really excited to learn from Bruce Bochy, obviously one of the greatest managers of all time, and he said right when he joined, Bruce Bochy called him and Bochy told Schumacher, I can't wait to learn from you. And Schumacher was like, this guy's not going to learn. Like, but that just shows you like how valued he is, how realistic that the Rangers feel that they have their next great manager on their hands.
Well, you stole what I was going to say, Kane. I was going to say or maybe it was CJ. One of you stole what I was going to say is that he had a year already in the organization before he became manager, and that doesn't happen very often. He had a chance to actually see what went wrong from the inside. So he was probably he probably knew at some point he was going to be up for the manager's job in Texas. I mean, when he took this job, I think the long-term goal was to eventually manage this team. And I think you look, and he was probably diagnosing throughout the season what could be done better, what could be changed. So he probably had a head start on that, which I think is fantastic, which is why I think he could, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Don't misquote me, but he could turn this team around in 1 year. I mean, they could be a playoff team in 2026. It's possible with the roster they currently have, because if you just make a few tweaks, like I said earlier, if Jock Peterson goes back to being Jock Peterson and hits 25 home runs, if Corey Seager stays healthy for most of the season, if Evan Carter stays healthy for most of the season, if Wyatt Langford takes the next step forward, if Josh Young plays back to the level he played in 2023.
If Brandon Nimmo is Brandon Nimmo.
And if Brandon Nimmo is Brandon Nimmo, and if Kyle Higashioka Higashioka, continues what he did at the second half of the season last year, along with the new backup catcher, which they're probably going to share time again. But I think you got a chance that this offense could be way better than they were last year.